In this video, I want to tell you a story about Jascha Heifetz. There are so many stories about Heifetz, and this one some may have heard of, but it's unlikely that many would have heard this story before. So to tell you how we arrive at the story, I'll tell you a little bit about my violin teacher. His name was Ron Lima. He was born in Goa during the days of the British Raj, and his classmate in Goa in the late 30s was none other than Zubin Mehta himself. Was in Ron's class at school, and Ron's father was a violinist, I believe, keen violinist, and a big fan of Heifetz, and Ron himself was a professional violinist, violin teacher. And he came to England, I guess, when he was quite young, and ended up in London. And he had a number of fairly famous teachers. Colin Sawyer was one. The late great Alfredo Campoli was one of his teachers. And the teacher that helps us to arrive at this story was Isolde Menges. That was another one of Ron's teachers, Isolde Menges. Now, Isolde Menges was in the Leopold Auer class that Heifetz was in. At the time when Ron went to see her, she was very old and she had really bad arthritis in her hands. Her hands were quite contorted. But apparently when she was demonstrating the Bach to Ron, it was just ethereal, played perfectly despite her arthritis. So Isolde Menges was in the class with Heifetz, in the Leopold Auer class when Heifetz was a boy in St. Petersburg. And here's how the story goes. So Heifetz was distracted during the class and he was playing with a ball. He was bouncing a ball up and down, and this annoyed Leopold Auer, who was in the middle of explaining to one of the other students in the class how to play a particular piece of section of a piece of music. So Auer, seeing that Jascha was playing with the ball and was distracted and not paying attention, turned to him and snapped at Heifetz and said, "Right then, you come and show the class how this section is supposed to be played." And then apparently Heifetz picked up his fiddle and reeled off the piece just so incredibly well that Auer then turned to the class and said, "See, that's how you do it." So that's how the story with the ball goes. And even if there were other, so who would have been able to recount this story? Maybe other pupils in the class, or maybe other students of Isolde Menges may have heard the story from her. But I suspect only if they'd asked about Heifetz, only if they were Heifetz fans, like Ron, my teacher, was a massive Heifetz fan. So he must have been constantly asking Isolde Menges for little tidbits about Heifetz, about that time, that fascinating time when he was in Russia. So I just wanted to put that story out there in case anyone else finds it interesting. It's just a simple little story. And something else that Ron told me as well, apparently another pupil who was in the famous Leopold Auer class was a guy called Sasha Lasserson, racehorses. But when Jascha Heifetz would come through England, when he would come to perform in London, he would look up Sasha Lasserson. He would go to his house and they would, he was an old friend basically, but apparently Heifetz respected him so much that he would go and ask him for violinistic advice on this and that. So there you go. There's a couple of stories, and yeah, Jascha Heifetz, amazing. What can you say? The best violinist ever. And one thing I forgot to add in the last segment was that Isolde Menges also told Ron that they all knew, all of the other pupils in the Leopold Auer class knew that Heifetz was special. He was something else. They all knew this kid was different. So yeah, she related that bit of information to Ron as well. They all knew how great Heifetz was, way above them.